Hey everybody, this is day 16, and I probably have bit off more than I can chew. We're going to be talking about leveling up my content creation game and, learning how to tell great stories. So we're just getting into this. I've spent a bunch of time this morning just researching, just reading as much as I could read, watching as many videos as I could watch, trying to take notes, put them in my Zettelkasten. It's been nuts. So this task is a lot harder than just being comfortable looking into that lens, in my estimation. What I'm finding out is that we are talking about all kinds of cognitive psychology when we're talking about attention and what makes a good story. All of this, it's a lot deeper than I had originally considered. So just from doing a little bit of research, I'm seeing that there's this idea that we have 11 million bits of information that come into our brain every second through all the senses, right? And so there's this part of our brain called the cognitive unconscious, right? And what its job is to unconsciously determine, out of all this information that we're getting, is this relevant right now? Will it affect me now or in the near future? Do I need to pay attention to this right now? Ultimately, it's there to protect us, right? To know if we, will this hurt me or will this help me? It's kind of amazing. So now let's bring YouTube back into the picture after knowing that. So now before I even start this, I have to decide what kind of a story am I trying to take my audience through? What kind of a story am I trying to tell you? What's the point? What do I think your emotional state is right now? And what do I want it to end on? What do I think you know right now? And what do I want you to know at the end of this, right? That's what I talked about yesterday when I talked about that state of being. So now, not only do I have to be concerned about what story I'm trying to tell you, there's also the added issue of you may or may not have the context of what I've been talking about in previous videos, right? Because of the algorithm, you may have found day 16 and not know anything I've been talking about from days 1 through 15. So you have no clue. And so I need to figure out a way to give a summary. And I have to do all this in 10 seconds. Yeah, 10 seconds. So I've got to give you the context. I got to tell you what I'm going to talk about. I've got to introduce you to a storyline, all in 10 seconds. It seems impossible. So then if I can manage to keep your attention for those 10 seconds, then I've got to build tension and build tension and build tension. And then ultimately, eventually, I got to pay that off, right? I got to release that tension. It's crazy. Clickbait sucks. I mean, how many times have you been watching YouTube? You see something, this person that you're really interested in, they did what? They said what? And you start watching the video and it's like, this has nothing to do with the title. This has nothing to do with the thumbnail. It just sucks. But I kind of understand it now, right? With the task set before us, I understand why people, lower themselves to that level. Now they're not going to be able to build a channel all from that, but I understand it. I don't condone it, but I understand it. The news does this too. Do you guys remember? I'll put a photo up here. Do you guys remember the weatherman? I don't know where it was, can't remember where it was, but this weatherman in this storm, and he's leaning, talking to the microphone, and the rain's blowing, the wind's blowing, the rain's falling, and it looks like he's just fighting against the wind. And then all of a sudden you got these two younger guys in the background, and they're just walking along like nothing's going on. It's trying to build a false sense of tension, right? And it sucks. I mean, we just feel like the propaganda, it just sucks. Clickbait aside, if I'm able to keep building that tension, during that time, I'm trying to get you to anticipate an outcome. Now, I might surprise you with the actual outcome, which could be fun, but I have to kind of know who you are so that I can perhaps understand how you think. Yeah, right. And then with all my cognitive biases and all your cognitive biases, I try to get you to anticipate an outcome for this tension that I'm building. I've made this promise in some way, and now I've got to deliver on that promise, right? And not just deliver. I got to try to over-deliver in some way, shape, or form. Y'all remember the show Lost? At first, I loved that show. I mean, our whole family would sit down. I don't remember what night it was on, but we would watch it. We would talk about it at work, the next day. And it was so awesome. Until we realized that the writers had no idea where they were going. And that just sucked. They weren't delivering on the promises that they made at the beginning, and it totally under-delivered. I mean, Lost me. And I think it lost most of us. This is a massive endeavor, a massive adventure that I'm just starting on. I have an idea that it's going to take years to gain the skills in this. I think it's pronounced Hopi tribe. They actually said, those who tell the stories rule the world. And yeah, I can see why.